Mark, have you ever tried to push a rope?
Actually, I have, and now that you mention, I just happen to have a rope right here. Yeah. So look what happens if we hold the rope here and I push with my bottom hand. What happens to the rope?
It's going all over the place.
Going all over the place, and is the front, the top really affected?
It's not really moving.
Not moving at
No.
all. That's exactly what happens when we try to push in leadership. When we try to push from behind or lead from behind rather than front, we're pushing the energy. The same amount of energy is being exerted, but we're not getting the result, and the team is really not going anywhere.
So it's kind of like the you go first mentality from the bottom
Exactly.
of the rope.
I mean, think of it as being a kid, and we used to do this all the time, doing something we'd never done before, and it's a little scary, right? You go first, let me watch and see what happens. It didn't work then, it doesn't work now. What we're really working toward is leading from the front or pulling the rope, and when you pull with the top hand, notice what happens to the rope. What's the difference?
Everything's aligned.
Yeah, so everybody...
The whole rope's moving.
You got it. Everybody moves in unison. Everybody's in line. Things are working like we should. Communication's taking place.
So leading from the front at the top of the rope here carries some risk with it.
It does. It's a great strategy, but there are risks involved. Anytime you're leading from the front, you're the first one in. It's kind of like the early bird getting the worm. You probably have heard that old adage, right? So the early bird gets the worm. True. That's true. But to be the first one out, there are risks involved. You really don't know what risks are out there. You're in uncharted waters. Now, the reward is great. I mean, if you hit it right and everything falls in line and you're the first one out and there's no competition in the marketplace, the reward is great. But beware the risk. It's kind of like the second mouse gets the cheese. You've heard that before too, right? So the lesson there is, the early bird may get the worm, but that first mouse, he waded into waters he didn't know. He was going after all the cheese. He paid the ultimate sacrifice for getting that cheese, right?
Yeah.
He may have gotten a nibble or two, but he paid the price. It was the second mouse who stood back, watched, learned from his mistakes that really benefited.
So what you're saying is, when you're leading from the front, it's the leader's responsibility to chart the course.
Absolutely. So this is where you want to surround yourself with the best minds you've got. Look at your team, your whole team, and a good idea can come from any place. So it doesn't matter where it comes from. So consult your team, converse about this, discuss it, analyze the data that you have at the moment, the most current data, really do the very best job you can, and then make your decision and you lead the way. You wade into the water. You be the first one in. That does a couple of things. Number one, when your team sees you leading, pulling rather than pushing, they're going to see you assuming the risk. They're going to see you accepting the dangers, the possibility of danger out there. They're going to see you standing in the gap, even shielding them from harm as you go in and lead your team. And what that does, that builds trust and authenticity with your team, so that now when you get ready to lead them, once you've waded into the water and you can stand there safely and say, hey guys, the water's great, come on in, they're going to gladly follow because they see you and the risk that you took to go in there, and they know that you're looking out for their best interests.
And the alternative being pushing the rope from the bottom, everybody moves at the speed of the slowest guy, right?
You got it. So not only are you losing control, but as people go in different directions, the pace at which you can improve or grow or achieve is greatly reduced because you're not moving in a straight line. And the real kicker there for me is you're exerting that same amount of energy and effort, but the front of the line is
diminished
not going
results
anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. You're stuck.
Never try to push a rope.
Don't do it. Pull.